health expert. Missing this vitamin is as bad as falls after 70. The vitamin that keeps you on your feet. After 70, a single fall can change everything, but missing one specific vitamin can be just as dangerous. Most people think of balance problems as a normal part of aging, but in many cases, it's not weak legs causing the stumble. It's a slow, silent nutrient deficiency changing how your nerves, muscles, and brain speak to each other. And it's one of the most common health blind spots in older adults. Here's what most folks don't realize. Your reflexes, coordination, and even your walking speed all depend on tiny chemical messages traveling up and down your nerves. Those messages need fuel, vitamins like B12 and D, to fire correctly. Without them, your footing feels a little uncertain, your reaction time slows, and suddenly the floor feels just a bit closer than it used to. Now, let's be honest, few people worry about vitamins until a doctor mentions anemia or brittle bones. But by that point, deficiency has usually been creeping in for years. You might notice small things first: fatigue after an easy morning walk, forgetting a word mid-sentence, or feeling off balance when you turn quickly. These aren't random. They're early warnings from your body that it's running low on essential nutrients. Vitamin B12 is one of the biggest culprits. It keeps your nerve cells wrapped in protective coating, sort of like the insulation around an electrical wire. That coating lets signals travel quickly and smoothly. When you're short on B12, those signals flicker and fade, leading to tingling in your hands and feet, slower movement, and even brain fog. You might be eating plenty of animal protein, meat, eggs, dairy, but that doesn't guarantee absorption. As you age, your stomach produces less acid and a special protein called intrinsic factor, both needed to pull B12 from food. So even with a good diet, your body might still be starving for it. That combination of slow nerve signals and weak muscle response dramatically increases the risk of falls, something many seniors and their families fear most. Studies have even shown that serious B12 deficiency can mimic the symptoms of neurological diseases like dementia or peripheral neuropathy. The good news? When detected early, it's one of the easiest problems to fix. But B12 isn't the only deficiency quietly undermining balance and strength. Vitamin D, the sunshine vitamin, plays an equally powerful role. It helps keep your bones dense, your muscles coordinated, and your mood stable. Low D doesn't just hurt your bones. It also weakens the muscles that keep you steady on your feet. In fact, research shows that older adults with low vitamin D levels are far more likely to fall and to break something when they do. So, what can you actually do to protect yourself? In this video, we're going to break down the top 3 supplements every senior should consider taking daily: vitamin B12, vitamin D, and one you might not have guessed, magnesium. Together, they form a trio that protects your nerves, bones, and energy levels. And equally important, we'll uncover one supplement that might surprise you, the one that can become genuinely dangerous after age 65. By the end, you'll know exactly which vitamins to look for, how to take them safely, and which ones to keep out of your pill organizer. And if you're wondering which healthy mineral can quietly cause heart and liver damage when taken in excess, stay tuned, because that's coming later. For now, keep this in mind: maintaining balance, energy, and mental clarity after 70 isn't luck. It's chemistry. Understanding which nutrients your body still absorbs and which it doesn't can literally keep you on your feet for years longer. Why seniors need extra nutritional support. Here's the truth that catches a lot of people off guard. As we age, even the healthiest diet can start falling short. You could be eating balanced meals, still cooking at home, and walking every day, yet your body just doesn't process nutrients like it used to. And it's not your fault. It's biology. After 60, the digestive system naturally becomes less efficient. Your stomach produces less acid, your intestines move food a little slower, and your pancreas doesn't release as many digestive enzymes. All of that adds up to one big problem. You can eat the same food you've enjoyed for decades, but absorb far fewer vitamins and minerals from it. That means even if you aren't eating less, you're probably getting less. The biggest example of this is vitamin B12. Okay, imagine your stomach as a little factory that needs acid and a protein called intrinsic factor to pull B12 out of food. Over time, that factory slows down. Your stomach lining thins, your acid levels drop, and intrinsic factor production dips. Without enough of it, B12 just passes through your system unused. It's like pouring water on dry soil that's too compacted to soak it in. Now, layer on top what modern medicine often calls progress. Many common medications interfere with nutrient absorption. Proton pump inhibitors and antacids, used for heartburn and reflux, reduce stomach acid, which B12 needs to break free from protein in food. Diabetes medications like metformin do something similar, blocking absorption at the intestinal level. Add a few of those pills together, and your nutrient tank empties before you even realize it. It's a perfect storm. Less absorption from food, more medications cutting off your supply, and reduced appetite, something a lot of older adults experience as metabolism slows and taste buds change. You might eat smaller portions, skip breakfast more often, or crave convenient low-fat, low-protein meals that don't deliver enough vitamins or minerals. Even when you do eat enough calories, the quality matters more than the quantity at this age. Modern diets, especially ones built on packaged healthy foods, are often nutrient light. Let's take a quick look at what this means. Many of today's low-fat or heart-smart products are fortified with extra iron, calcium, or synthetic additives, but they lack natural sources of B vitamins, magnesium, and vitamin D. You end up full, but your body is still undernourished at a cellular level. That's why an older adult can technically be well-fed, yet still feel exhausted, foggy, and weak. The body's repair systems don't run on calories alone. They need specific micronutrients to rebuild cells, protect nerves, and keep your energy systems firing. Think of your metabolism as a car you've driven for 70 years. With age, the parts still work, but not as smoothly. The engine may sputter if it's missing just one drop of oil, that oil being your vitamins and minerals. Add to that slower liver and kidney function, which means nutrients don't circulate or stay usable for as long, and you start to see why the margin for error narrows. But here's where things get interesting. Some of these changes are preventable or at least manageable with awareness. For example, getting more sunlight used to be the body's main source of vitamin D, but modern lifestyles and thinner aging skin reduce the ability to convert sunlight into usable vitamin D3. That's why so many older adults in sunny places still test low. It's not about how much sun you see, it's about how much your skin can process. And magnesium? It hides in foods that most people eat less of over time. Leafy greens, whole grains, nuts, seeds. As chewing becomes tougher or digestion more sensitive, those fibrous foods drop off the plate. So magnesium levels quietly fall too, affecting sleep, muscles, and mood. See the pattern? You don't have to be doing anything wrong for deficiencies to show up. Now, another factor often overlooked is how chronic inflammation changes nutrient needs. Conditions like arthritis, diabetes, and digestive diseases all tax your body's repair systems and increase the rate you burn through vitamins. Even mild inflammation elevates oxidative stress, meaning your cells use up antioxidants like vitamins C, E, and B12 faster. So while your intake hasn't changed, your requirements go up simply because your system is working harder behind the scenes. Think back to how you felt in your 40s or 50s after a long day. Tired, but still able to bounce back the next morning. Compare that to now, where it might take a full day of rest to recover from gardening or a big family event. That slower recovery isn't just age. It's your body missing the nutrients it once had an abundance of. I see this constantly in older adults who tell me, I eat fine, but I just feel off. When we look closer, sometimes with a simple blood test, we find depleted B12 or low vitamin D levels that have been lingering for years. Replenishing them doesn't just lift energy, it clears thinking, steadies balance, and restores that feeling of vitality many thought was gone for good. And let's not forget hydration. The sensation of thirst dulls with age. So many older adults drink less water throughout the day. Dehydration thickens the blood, slows digestion, and interferes with nutrient transport. In other words, even the vitamins you do absorb have a harder time traveling to where they're needed. Water acts like your body's delivery truck. Without enough of it, the packages get delayed or lost. So between reduced stomach acid, medication side effects, smaller meals, and dehydration, the odds of falling into deficiency stack up quickly after 60. That's why just eat healthy isn't always enough anymore. You can't assume what worked for you 20 years ago will keep working today. And it's not all doom and gloom. The encouraging part is that once you understand these changes, you can work with them instead of against them. Small adjustments make a big difference. Spacing medications apart from supplements, adding fortified foods strategically, or using targeted vitamins that your digestive system can actually absorb. So here's the bottom line. Nutrition in later life isn't about eating more, it's about absorbing more. The key is focusing on the nutrients your body has the hardest time holding on to, particularly B12 and vitamin D, since both directly influence nerve strength, brain function, and balance. So what's the first nutrient that drops as we age? And why does it affect your mind before your body feels it? That's exactly where we're heading next. Vitamin B12, the nerve protector. Vitamin B12 is one of those nutrients your body quietly depends on every single day, but rarely tells you when it's running low, at least not right away. It's the behind-the-scenes worker that powers your nervous system, keeps your memory sharp, and fuels every cell that needs oxygen. When people talk about feeling low energy, more often than not, they're describing what happens when B12 drops below optimal levels. The tricky part is that deficiency doesn't usually show up as one big symptom. It creeps in slowly, like a dimmer switch turning the lights down week by week, until one day you realize just how dark the room has gotten. So what exactly does B12 do? In simple terms, it helps your body make red blood cells that carry oxygen, and it protects the insulation around your nerves, called myelin. Think of myelin as the rubber coating around electrical wires. Without it, messages from your brain travel too slowly or get lost along the way. That's why low B12 can leave you with tingling in your hands or feet, clumsy movements, and forgetfulness. When nerves misfire, balance suffers first. A lot of older adults who think they're just getting unsteady are really feeling the early effects of poor B12 absorption. The body's relationship with B12 is a bit complicated. You can only get it naturally from animal products, foods like fish, poultry, eggs, and dairy. Plants don't make it. So for vegetarians or anyone who eats very little meat, supplementation is often essential. But even if you're eating enough protein, the problem after age 60 isn't intake, it's absorption. To extract B12 from food, your stomach needs two things: acid to free it up, and a small protein called intrinsic factor to carry it through the gut wall. With age, both of these decline. That means you could eat a perfectly balanced diet and still end up short. Doctors often see this pattern in older adults on antacids or proton pump inhibitors, which are designed to reduce stomach acid. Those medications bring heartburn relief, but they also stop B12 from breaking free from food. Diabetes medication like metformin has a different but equally frustrating effect. It prevents B12 from latching on once it reaches the small intestine. Combine a weaker stomach with decades of these common prescriptions, and deficiency becomes almost predictable. Now, what happens when levels stay low for too long? The first sign is usually fatigue that doesn't match your activity level. You might wake up tired, nap in the afternoon, or feel slower walking upstairs even though nothing else changed. Then comes the nerve part, tingling or numbness in the fingertips or toes, a feeling like pins and needles that lingers. Left unchecked, it can progress to imbalance when you walk, memory lapses, or trouble concentrating, because those overlap with typical aging complaints. Many people, and even some doctors, miss the real cause until the damage is well underway. And here's the sobering truth. Once nerve fibers are severely damaged, they can take months, or sometimes never, to fully recover. Let's make this personal for a moment. One of my viewers once told me her husband started shuffling his feet and using the wall for balance. She assumed it was arthritis or neuropathy from mild diabetes. After one routine blood test, his doctor found his B12 was in the basement. 3 months of supplementation later, he was climbing stairs again with confidence. It wasn't strength training or new shoes. It was his nerves finally getting the nutrition they'd been begging for. Stories like that aren't rare. They're just rarely recognized for what they are. Another reason B12 matters so much is its effect on the brain. Low levels increase homocysteine, a compound known to damage blood vessels and accelerate cognitive decline. Researchers have found that seniors with the lowest B12 levels have a significantly greater risk of dementia and depression. The explanation is straightforward. Your brain cells need methyl groups, a type of molecular switch, to create neurotransmitters like serotonin and dopamine. B12 provides those methyl groups. Without them, mood dips, memory dulls, and thought processing slows. It's one of the reasons a simple vitamin deficiency can masquerade as anxiety, irritability, or forgetfulness. Now, here's the tricky part. Blood tests don't always tell the full story. Even if your B12 level sits in the normal range, you can still have what's called functional deficiency. That means there's enough in your bloodstream, but not enough getting inside your tissues where it's needed. Doctors can check this by looking at markers like methylmalonic acid or homocysteine. Both rise when your cells are starving for B12. If either is high, you need more supplementation, plain and simple. You might be wondering, can I get everything I need just from food? In theory, yes, if your digestion is perfect. But after 65, only about half of the B12 from food is absorbed efficiently. That's why many experts, including the Mayo Clinic and the NIH's dietary guidelines, recommend seniors switch to fortified foods or direct supplements. These forms of B12 aren't bound to protein, so they bypass the stomach acid problem and go straight into your system. Another common question is whether taking too much B12 is dangerous. The answer, thankfully, is no, at least not at reasonable doses. It's a water-soluble vitamin, which means your body excretes what it doesn't use through urine. Most people feel safe starting around 500 to 100 micrograms per day, though higher doses are sometimes prescribed for deficiency correction. For severe cases where absorption is too weak, doctors may use monthly injections that deliver B12 directly into the bloodstream. Within weeks, patients often notice sharper focus, steadier walking, and improved mood. Let's not forget how B12 influences overall energy. When your red blood cells can't carry enough oxygen, your muscles fatigue fast. That's the biochemical reason you might feel winded carrying groceries or lose stamina halfway through a walk. Restoring B12 restores proper oxygen flow to tissues, so your energy returns because your cells can finally breathe again. This vitamin truly earns its nickname, the nerve protector. It guards communication between the brain and body, fuels your metabolism, and buffers your mood. But it's also the most underdiagnosed deficiency among older adults. That's partly because it takes years for levels to drop after stomach absorption starts declining. By the time symptoms appear, your reserves may already be depleted. The good news is that the fix is simple once you know the cause. So the takeaway is this: fatigue, numbness, cloudy memory, and even frequent imbalance are not unavoidable parts of aging. They could be your body whispering, "I'm low on B12." Get your levels checked and talk with your doctor about adding supplements or fortified foods. The earlier you act, the faster your nerves and energy recover. And here's the tricky part: you might eat enough B12, but still not absorb it. That single detail separates decades of declining energy from the chance to feel sharp and steady again. Hidden signs of B12 deficiency. The sneaky thing about a vitamin B12 deficiency is that it rarely waves a red flag at first. It starts quietly, mixing into everyday life so smoothly that it looks like normal aging. A few slower mornings, a bit of memory fog, maybe a heavier step on the stairs. We tend to shrug these off, but each one is your nervous system trying to get your attention. Because when your nerves lose their fuel, every thought, reflex, and emotion has to work twice as hard. Let's start with the mind, because that's usually where people notice the earliest clues. You might find yourself reading the same line twice, losing track of what you meant to grab from another room, or forgetting the name of someone you just met. That's not simply distraction. It's your neurons struggling to fire efficiently without B12. This vitamin helps create the myelin sheath that wraps every nerve fiber in your brain. Without that protective layer, brain signals slow down, like poor Wi-Fi on an old router. The result? More senior moments, but not because you're getting older, because your brain's wiring needs maintenance. Next come mood changes. Low B12 often shows up as anxiety, irritability, or that sense of low motivation that's easy to confuse with mild depression. Biochemically, this makes sense. B12 is essential for making serotonin and dopamine, the same neurotransmitters controlled by many antidepressant medications. When you're deficient, your body simply can't make enough of them. The result can feel like you've lost your emotional cushion. Smaller frustrations hit harder, patience runs thinner, and evenings feel heavier. Many older adults don't connect the dots because they assume stress or sleep are to blame, yet a simple vitamin boost can lift the fog in just a few weeks. Now, let's talk about what happens physically. Fatigue is the most common sign, but this isn't normal tiredness. It's that all-over exhaustion that doesn't match your lifestyle. You rest, you eat, yet the energy doesn't return. That happens because B12 controls the production of red blood cells, which carry oxygen. When levels dip, your tissues get less oxygen, and even light activity leaves you winded. Your arms might feel weaker, your legs heavier, and your morning coffee's suddenly useless. You might notice small changes like struggling to open jars or walking slower across the room. Subtle clues that your muscles aren't getting the oxygen they need. Another physical giveaway is pale or slightly yellow skin. Without enough B12, the body can't produce red blood cells properly, leading to a thinner, almost translucent appearance. Some people also develop shortness of breath or lightheadedness because their blood isn't carrying enough oxygen to the brain. And here's a strange one: a smooth, sore tongue. That happens when rapidly dividing cells in your mouth start breaking down due to low B12, a tiny symptom that reveals a much bigger problem inside. Then come the more specific nerve issues: tingling in the hands or feet, burning sensations, or that falling asleep feeling that doesn't fade when you shake it out. You might even lose fine coordination, like fumbling with buttons or dropping utensils. That's neuropathy, nerve fibers misfiring, because their insulation is breaking down. Over time, it spreads upward, affecting balance and walking. If your gait feels wider or you find yourself reaching for walls more often, pay attention. That's not inevitable aging. It's early nerve deterioration that's often completely reversible with proper treatment. Another overlooked sign is changes in walking speed. Researchers tracking older adults found those with low B12 walked noticeably slower and were more likely to sway or lose balance on uneven ground. It's not a strength problem. It's timing. Your brain's messages to your muscles arrive late or get lost altogether. That split-second delay is what makes tripping, stumbling, or freezing during turns more common. What's concerning is that these mobility changes appear years before any diagnosis is made. So catching them early could literally prevent falls later. Vision can also be affected. The optic nerve relies on the same protective myelin coating, and deficiency can cause blurred or double vision when that protection thins. Some people also report that colors look duller or that bright light bothers their eyes more than usual. Again, many chalk this up to cataracts or general eye aging when the culprit may be poor B12 absorption. Restoring levels can sometimes sharpen sight in a matter of weeks. So why do these red flags get missed so easily? It's partly because they echo the normal complaints of getting older. Doctors hear tired, forgetful, or unsteady every day, and those words could fit dozens of conditions. Unless someone orders a specific blood test, B12 stays off the radar. And since your liver stores years' worth of it, your levels decline painfully slowly, meaning the connection between cause and effect becomes blurred over time. Let me share a small example from a patient I once met at a community health seminar. She said she was terrified. She was developing early dementia. Simple chores took longer, and she felt anxious for no reason. Her doctor ran a B12 test out of caution, and it came back low. 3 months later, after consistent supplementation, she felt like herself again. She told me, "I didn't get younger. I just remembered who I was." That sentence stuck with me because it sums up how deceptive this deficiency can be. It hides behind the story of aging when, in truth, it's just missing maintenance. Another reason these signs fool people is that they don't always appear at the same time. One person might only feel brain fog, another may notice tingling but still think clearly. The pattern depends on genetics, medications, and how long levels have been low. Some symptoms, like irritability, can come and go, leading people to believe it's emotional stress rather than a metabolic issue. That's why keeping track of subtle changes, how often you lose balance, how quickly you recall names, how deeply you sleep, matters so much. A quick note on sleep. B12 helps regulate melatonin, the hormone that controls your internal clock. Deficiency can make it harder to fall asleep or cause restless nights. Many older adults link this to insomnia, not realizing it could be their nerves misfiring due to low B12. Fixing the root issue often restores healthy sleep cycles naturally. Here's the good news. Once identified, B12 symptoms reverse faster than most expect. Within weeks of proper doses, oxygen flows better, nerves restore conductivity, and mood steadiness returns. The tingling fades as nerves heal and mental clarity sharpens like someone cleaned your glasses. But every month left untreated allows a little more damage, sometimes permanent, particularly to balance and coordination. So waiting to see if it gets better can quietly cost you the ability to move confidently later on. Bottom line, persistent fatigue, unexplained mood shifts, pale skin, clumsy hands, or slower walking are not just part of growing older. They are your body's way of waving a flag, asking for the B12 it once had plenty of. Don't let those whispers turn into shouts. A simple test and a small supplement can mean the difference between feeling old and feeling alive. Luckily, a few smart changes can reverse these symptoms faster than most people expect. How to rebuild B12 levels safely. All right, let's get practical, because knowing you're low on B12 is one thing, but fixing it safely and effectively is another. The good news is, restoring your levels is usually simple once you understand how absorption works, what form of B12 your body actually recognizes, and a few key timing tricks that can make a big difference. Let's start with the big question. Should you take pills or get shots? For most people, oral supplements work beautifully. modern B12 tablets and sublingual options, the ones you dissolve under your tongue, bypass the stomach acid problem entirely. They slip straight into your bloodstream through the little blood vessels under your tongue, which makes them a great choice if you have absorption issues from age, medication, or digestive trouble. Injections, on the other hand, are used when deficiency is severe or when blood tests show your body simply can't absorb B12 from the gut anymore. Doctors give it intramuscularly, usually a few times per month early on, then less often for maintenance. It's safe and effective, but also more expensive and inconvenient than pills, so it's reserved for those who truly need it. If you respond well to oral supplements, you can skip the needles. Now, dosage is where people tend to overcomplicate things. The daily recommended amount for healthy adults hovers around 2.4 micrograms, but here's the catch. When you're over 60, your gut might only absorb 10% of that. That's why you'll see supplements in the hundreds or even thousands of micrograms. Don't panic. It's not excessive. It's necessary to offset poor absorption. For maintenance, 500 to 100 micrograms daily is a solid range. Your kidneys will flush out whatever your body doesn't use, so there's no danger in overshooting within that window. If lab tests show you're deficient, your doctor might temporarily bump it up to 200 micrograms daily for a few weeks, then ease back once levels stabilize. Another factor to consider is the type of B12. You'll often see two forms on labels, cyanocobalamin and methylcobalamin. Both work, but they're slightly different. Cyanocobalamin is stable, inexpensive, and commonly used in fortified foods and supplements. Your body converts it into the active form it needs. Methylcobalamin, on the other hand, is pre-activated, meaning your body can use it directly without conversion. Many older adults find methylcobalamin a bit easier to tolerate and possibly more effective for nerve repair. If you've had trouble raising your levels with one form, try the other. Your body chemistry might simply prefer it. Now, timing matters more than most people realize. Because B12 and vitamin C compete for absorption, you never want to take them together. Vitamin C can actually break down B12 in your digestive tract, wasting your supplement. So if you enjoy a morning glass of orange juice or take a C tablet, wait at least 2 hours before or after your B12. A simple rule: take your B12 with breakfast and your vitamin C later in the day. Let's talk food for a moment, because while supplements are powerful, your diet still plays a role. The richest sources of B12 are fish like salmon and tuna, eggs, milk, yogurt, and fortified cereals. If you eat meat, a few ounces of beef or chicken liver once in a while delivers more B12 than your body can absorb in a day. For vegetarians or vegans, fortified plant milks and nutritional yeast are your best friends. But here's the key: these foods can only help if your stomach acid and intrinsic factor are doing their job. If you're taking acid-reducing medication, don't rely on diet alone. You'll need supplementation to compensate. Absorption aside, let's touch on how long recovery takes. When you start supplementing, improvements often come in stages. Within 1 to 2 weeks, most people notice better energy and mental clarity. By a month, tingling or numbness may begin to fade. Regenerating nerve tissue takes time. So don't be discouraged if balance or coordination lag behind. Those are usually the last to heal. The important part is consistency. Missing doses here and there can set you back because your body doesn't store much excess B12 at this age. Think of it like topping off a battery. Small daily charges work better than one giant dose after a long wait. For anyone with a stubborn deficiency, combining oral and dietary sources helps saturate tissues faster. Some doctors also suggest pairing B12 with folate and B6. Together they lower homocysteine levels, improving blood flow and nerve protection. But talk to your healthcare provider before stacking supplements. That combination works best under supervision to avoid imbalances. Now, one mistake I see often People start B12 when they're already anemic or exhausted, then quit after a few weeks because they don't feel a difference. The reason is simple. If the deficiency has been creeping in for years, you won't refill those nerve and blood stores overnight. Give it at least 2 to 3 months of continuous use before judging results. Blood tests can confirm progress by showing ferritin, homocysteine, or methylmalonic acid returning to normal. When those stabilize, you know your system is finally recharging properly. Another tip that helps your body maximize every tablet: hydrate well. Water aids your digestive transport and kidney filtration, so your B12 reaches tissues smoothly and excess is removed cleanly. Aim for steady sipping through the day rather than chugging large amounts at once. It's a small adjustment that improves not just B12 absorption, but every nutrient you take. Now, about safety, B12 is remarkably non-toxic, even in large doses. The only exceptions are extremely rare conditions like a hereditary optic nerve disease, where cyanocobalamin should be avoided. Otherwise, the biggest side effects you might notice are mild nausea or restlessness when you first start. If that happens, take it with food. It settles quickly. As always, if you have kidney disease or take multiple prescriptions, check in with your doctor to make sure no hidden interactions exist. Let's finish with one lifestyle trick many people overlook: pairing your B12 habit with regular movement. Light exercise, even just walking or stretching, boosts circulation, which helps the vitamin reach nerve endings and muscles faster. When blood flow improves, healing speeds up. So don't just take the pill, give it a delivery system by staying active. To recap this section, for most seniors, a daily 500 to 100 microgram B12 supplement in methylcobalamin or cyanocobalamin form, taken with breakfast, spaced away from vitamin C, and supported by balanced meals, will rebuild your levels safely. Be patient and consistent, hydrate well, and follow up with your doctor after a few months to confirm progress. Now that your energy's returning and those nerves are recharging, it's time to strengthen the rest of your foundation. Because the vitamin that keeps your bones and balance steady deserves just as much attention. And that's where vitamin D takes the spotlight next. Vitamin D, the fall and fracture shield. Ask any physical therapist what keeps older adults safest from falls, and they'll tell you it's not just muscle strength, it's vitamin D. This quiet little hormone, made mostly in your skin, is one of the strongest defenders against broken bones, weak muscles, and balance problems. Ironically, it's the nutrient most people overlook because they assume getting a little sun each week is enough. For most people after 65, it isn't. Here's the core issue: the ability to create vitamin D from sunlight drops sharply with age. By the time you hit 70, your skin is only producing about a quarter of what it did in your youth. Add in sunscreen, clothing, and time spent indoors, and even sunny climates can't guarantee healthy levels. That's why deficiency rates among older adults range anywhere from 20 to nearly 100% in studies, the kind of number you'd expect from something rare, not a universal problem. Low vitamin D doesn't just soften bones. It weakens the muscles that stop you from falling in the first place. Researchers have shown that people over 65 who take at least 800 IUs of vitamin D daily cut their risk of both hip and non-spine fractures by about 20%. At higher but still safe doses, the results improve even more. The reason is simple: vitamin D turns on the genes that control calcium absorption and muscle contraction. Without it, your bones lose density and your muscles can't grip or stabilize as efficiently. The connection between that tablet and the way you climb stairs is direct chemistry. Here's where it gets even more interesting. Vitamin D works like the central switch for calcium. If the switch fails, calcium can't be placed into your bones properly. That's why calcium and vitamin D together do far more than either one alone. In frail or nursing home populations, pairing 800 to 100 IUs of vitamin D with moderate calcium intake consistently lowers hip fracture rates, while vitamin D alone only moves the needle slightly. So if you're already taking a calcium supplement but not vitamin D, you're leaving half the job unfinished. Then comes the conversation about falls themselves. A deficiency in this vitamin alters muscle fibers, especially in the legs and core, the very areas that keep you upright when you stumble. Controlled trials have shown that restoring vitamin D levels to at least 30 nanograms per milliliter improves reaction time, coordination, and balance scores. People who once needed support poles for walking could move steadier within weeks. For seniors living alone, that's independence restored. Now, you might be wondering how much is enough. The Institute of Medicine recommends around 800 IUs per day for adults over 70, while groups like the American Geriatric Society suggest closer to 100 IUs as a daily goal. More isn't necessarily better. Megadoses can raise blood calcium too high and strain the kidneys. So slow and steady truly wins here. If you're taking medication for heart rhythm, kidney disease, or thyroid problems, always let your doctor know before adjusting doses. These conditions can change how your body handles extra calcium and vitamin D. Here's a quick safety detail that's worth remembering. Vitamin D toxicity is extremely rare and only comes from months of excessive supplementation, not sunlight. The sun naturally limits production because your skin stops making D once it has enough. Supplements don't have that limit, which is why mild lab monitoring, maybe once or twice a year, is smart if you take more than 100 IUs daily. Symptoms of too much include loss of appetite, dehydration, or irregular heartbeat, all of which disappear when dosage is corrected. Beyond bones and muscles, vitamin D also feeds your brain, and this is where the research gets fascinating. Several long-term studies found that seniors with very low serum levels, that's below 20 nanograms per milliliter, were 2 to 4 times more likely to experience cognitive decline and dementia. The likely reason? Your brain has vitamin D receptors, especially in the areas that control memory and emotion. When those receptors aren't activated, inflammation and plaque buildup in the brain increase. In other words, staying mentally sharp into your 80s partly depends on what's happening in your bloodstream right now. Mood health ties in as well. Low D levels are linked with higher rates of depression in older adults, particularly women. While supplements don't act like antidepressants, restoring low levels often lifts mood and improves sleep. Many people describe it as emotional brightness, a subtle but noticeable drive returning after months of feeling heavy. That makes sense because vitamin D influences serotonin production, the same feel-good neurotransmitter that perks up after a sunny vacation. Here's a quick practical guide for getting adequate vitamin D. First, sunlight is still valuable. 10 to 15 minutes of mid-morning or mid-afternoon exposure on arms and face a few times a week helps maintain baseline levels if your skin tolerates it and your doctor approves. But most people still need a supplement. Choose vitamin D3, known as cholecalciferol, instead of D2. Studies show it raises and maintains blood levels more effectively. D3 is usually derived from lanolin or fish oil, and you can find vegan options from licensed sources as well. If swallowing pills is tough, D3 dissolvable tablets or liquid drops are equally effective and easy to absorb. Take it with a meal containing some healthy fat. Vitamin D is fat soluble, so pairing it with avocado, olive oil, or nut butter boosts absorption dramatically. For those already taking a morning multivitamin, check its label. If it contains less than 600 IUs, you'll likely need an additional single-ingredient D3 supplement to reach the therapeutic range. Let's revisit its relationship with calcium for a moment, because that combination can get confusing. Some people assume they have to load up on calcium tablets if they start vitamin D, but that's not always true. If your diet already includes dairy, fortified plant milks, or leafy greens, you may not need extra calcium pills. What matters most is balance. Vitamin D helps the calcium you already eat enter bones instead of clogging arteries. Too much calcium without enough D never reaches the right destination, while D without any calcium has nothing to deposit. If you're unsure, ask for a simple blood test checking both vitamin D and calcium levels. That guides your optimal ratio better than guesswork. Physically, the difference between deficiency and sufficiency is remarkable. Adequate vitamin D strengthens type 2 muscle fibers, the ones responsible for quick reactions when you trip. It fine-tunes balance, steadies your gait, and improves grip strength in your hands. Clinical trials even link sufficient D levels to fewer hospitalizations for frailty. Simply put, your muscles listen better to your brain when this nutrient is present. There's also an immune component many people overlook. Vitamin D modulates the immune system, helping you fight infections while minimizing unnecessary inflammation. Older adults with healthy levels tend to recover faster from flu and have lower rates of respiratory illness. When you think about it, that means this one supplement quietly supports nearly every system that keeps you independent: bones, muscles, mood, immunity, even cognition. Now, about where it fits into your daily routine. Most people find taking vitamin D with breakfast or lunch easiest to remember. Pairing it with magnesium, another nutrient we'll discuss next, actually enhances how your body activates and uses D. Magnesium converts vitamin D into its usable form inside your tissues. So being low on magnesium limits what your supplement can do. That's why treating them as partners yields the best results. Before we wrap this section, let's address one common myth. If I'm not in pain or losing height, my bones must be fine. Unfortunately, that's not how deficiency works. You won't feel your bones thinning any more than you feel your cholesterol rising. By the time a bone fracture occurs, the underlying weakness has often been developing silently for years. Preventive supplementation is far easier than rehabilitation after a fall. So what's the bottom line? Vitamin D acts as your body's fall prevention system. Around 800 to 100 IUs of D3 per day, ideally combined with moderate calcium intake and regular movement, makes bones denser, muscles steadier, and moods brighter. It's inexpensive, safe, and backed by mountains of research showing measurable benefit within months. Now that you've strengthened your foundation with B12 for nerves and D for stability, there's one more teammate that completes the trio, a mineral often overlooked but essential for calm muscles, steady sleep, and even how your vitamins work together. Let's meet the unsung hero of senior wellness, magnesium. 894 words. The third support team member, magnesium. You've probably heard plenty about calcium for bones and potassium for cramps, but magnesium rarely gets the spotlight it deserves. That's surprising, considering it's the fourth most abundant mineral in your body and involved in more than 300 different reactions. It helps muscles contract, nerves communicate, and your heart keep a steady rhythm. Without enough of it, all those systems run unevenly like a symphony missing half its instruments. Here's what's wild. Roughly half of all older adults don't get the recommended amount of magnesium each day. It hides mostly in foods many people eat less of as they age: dark leafy greens, beans, nuts, seeds, and whole grains. Those foods can be harder to chew or digest, so they quietly disappear from the plate. Add to that certain medications like diuretics and heart drugs that flush magnesium out of the body faster, and you've got a recipe for chronic deficiency without realizing it. So, why does this matter so much after 60? For starters, your nerves and muscles rely on magnesium to work together. Every time you move, magnesium helps regulate the calcium that lets your muscles contract, then relax again. When there's too little, muscles can lock up or twitch. That's why a lack of this mineral shows up first as nighttime leg cramps or spasms that wake you from sleep. These aren't random. They're your body signaling a shortage of the mineral that balances nerve impulses. It also works hand in hand with vitamin D and B12. Magnesium activates vitamin D, so your bones can absorb calcium effectively, and it supports the conversion of B12 into its usable form for your nervous system. Think of it as the team's facilitator, the nutrient that ensures the others can actually do their jobs. Without it, even high-quality supplements can underperform. If you've ever taken vitamin D faithfully but still tested low, magnesium deficiency could be the missing link. Then comes the connection to energy and mood. Magnesium is essential for producing ADP, the energy currency inside your cells. When levels drop, fatigue creeps in, not from overwork, but from underfueling your mitochondria, the little engines that keep every tissue alive. It also influences hormones that regulate sleep and calmness. Low levels are associated with anxiety, tension headaches, and restless legs at night. That's why many people describe feeling more relaxed and sleeping deeper once they bring magnesium back to normal. Let's break down some signs that you might be running low. The most common include muscle cramps, tight or twitchy calves, and difficulty staying asleep. Some people notice irregular heartbeat, low appetite, or constipation. In more advanced cases, you might feel tremors, numbness, or mood swings that seem to come from nowhere. Because these symptoms overlap with other conditions, they're easy to misread. But if aches and restlessness combine with fatigue and poor sleep, magnesium deficiency climbs to the top of the suspect list. Fortunately, it's easy to rebuild your supply once you know where to look. Whole foods are the best starting point. Spinach, Swiss chard, and kale are rich sources. So are nuts like almonds and cashews, seeds such as pumpkin or sunflower, and whole grains like oats and brown rice. Even a small handful of nuts in the afternoon or a cup of cooked spinach at dinner can make a noticeable difference over time. If you prefer simpler options, many breakfast cereals and plant milks are fortified with magnesium and count toward your daily goal. For those already struggling to meet their needs through food, supplements help fill the gap. The most absorbable forms are magnesium glycinate, citrate, and malate. They're gentle on the stomach and less likely to cause loose stools than the oxide version you'll often see on cheap labels. A lot of adults do well with 200 to 300 milligrams a day, taken with meals to enhance absorption. Your doctor might adjust this depending on kidney function or if you take medications that interact. Timing can also make a difference. Taking magnesium in the evening often improves relaxation and sleep quality because it naturally calms the nervous system. Many people call it their bedtime vitamin, a way to unwind and reduce muscle tension before sleep. If you already take calcium or vitamin D, pair them during the day and save magnesium for later to support rest. This rhythm mimics how your body uses each mineral throughout a normal cycle. There's another little known benefit that tends to surprise people: cardiovascular support. Adequate magnesium helps maintain normal blood pressure and steady heartbeats. Studies show that older adults with sufficient levels have lower rates of hypertension and fewer arrhythmias. The mechanism isn't complicated. Magnesium relaxes blood vessel walls and prevents calcification in arteries. In simpler terms, it helps keep your pipes flexible, improving circulation to the brain and muscles. That's part of why people often feel a warm calm or steadier pulse after a few weeks of supplementation. Now, here's something most nutrition charts don't mention. Stress drains magnesium faster than almost anything else. When you're tense or anxious, your adrenal glands release cortisol, which signals your kidneys to excrete more magnesium. In other words, the very times you need calm the most are when you burn through this mineral the fastest. That's one reason chronic stress leaves you exhausted and unable to sleep even when you're physically tired. Restoring magnesium levels breaks that cycle naturally, making it easier to relax without needing additional sleep aids. Let's address a few safety basics because, as with any supplement, balance matters. Healthy kidneys filter excess magnesium easily, so moderate supplements are safe for most people. Problems only arise at very high doses or when combined with certain medications like strong diuretics, antibiotics, or heart drugs. Warning signs of excess include diarrhea, nausea, or low blood pressure. Your cue to cut back. Always check with your doctor before starting new supplements, especially if you have kidney disease or take several prescriptions. If you prefer food-based solutions over pills, you can still stack your deck. Combine magnesium-rich foods with B12 and D sources throughout the day to keep your metabolism humming. For instance, breakfast could be fortified cereal with milk, lunch a spinach salad with eggs, and dinner some grilled salmon with quinoa. Small adjustments like that spread nutrients evenly through your system, avoiding peaks and valleys that leave you drained by afternoon. Hydration adds another layer of support. Magnesium plays a role in fluid balance, but it also depends on adequate water to move through your body. Aim to sip consistently rather than gulp all at once. Steady hydration helps your cells hold on to electrolytes, keeping muscles and nerves responsive without cramping. And here's a practical test of progress. Better sleep within a week or two, fewer muscle jerks when drifting off, and smoother mornings without the heavy limb feeling that used to linger after waking. Many older adults notice joint stiffness easing and digestion improving too, since magnesium relaxes intestinal muscles as gently as it does your legs. Physically, you'll know it's working when tension lessens and you feel a quiet steadiness, not a jolt of energy, but a smooth hum of normal function returning. Combined with your B12 and vitamin D routine, magnesium fills in the final gaps, helping every signal between your brain, muscles, and heart flow in sync. So remember this triangle. B12 protects your nerves, vitamin D strengthens bones and balance, and magnesium keeps everything coordinated. They work together like gears in a clock. Remove one, and time itself feels slower. 3 simple nutrients that support your mind, your bones, and your sleep. But not every supplement belongs in your cabinet. And the next one we need to talk about may come as a shock, because too much of it can silently damage the heart, liver, and brain. Let's turn to the mineral most seniors should actually avoid. The supplement most seniors should avoid: high-dose iron. Here's where our story takes a sharp turn, because up until now we've focused on nutrients your body needs more of after 60. But there's one common supplement that flips that logic completely: iron. For most older adults, extra iron isn't helpful at all. In fact, it can quietly become toxic. The same mineral that builds strength and stamina in your 20s can damage your heart, liver, and brain in your 70s if you keep piling it on without need. Iron's job in small amounts is crucial. It helps your red blood cells carry oxygen, fueling your muscles and brain. When you're young or still menstruating, losing tiny amounts of iron through blood loss makes replenishment essential. But after menopause or andropause, that demand drops dramatically. The body doesn't have a natural way to excrete excess iron, so what you take in simply accumulates. Over the years, those extra doses can stack up like rust inside your organs. That slow buildup is what doctors call iron overload, and it's far more common and dangerous than most people realize. Iron overload, or hemochromatosis, occurs when the body stores too much iron instead of using only what it needs. Sometimes it's caused by genetics, but more often it's made worse by unnecessary supplementation or fortified foods combined with years of taking multivitamins designed for much younger people. Every extra tablet sneaks a little more iron into storage, even when your levels are already full. The problem doesn't show up quickly. It seeps in silently, leading to fatigue, joint pain, and eventually organ damage that gets mistaken for aging or arthritis. Inside your body, unneeded iron acts a lot like oxygen fuel for a fire. It reacts with tissues, producing something called oxidative stress, basically internal rust. This oxidative stress damages cells and DNA, accelerates aging, and inflames blood vessels. Over time, it can scar the liver, stiffen the heart, and contribute to conditions such as diabetes and neurodegenerative diseases. According to medical research, excessive iron deposits are found not only in the liver and pancreas but also in the heart and even the brain, where they speed up disorders like Alzheimer's and Parkinson's. One of the earliest warning signs is chronic fatigue that doesn't respond to rest or exercise. People often think, I must need more iron, and reach for another supplement, which only worsens the overload. That's the catch-22. Iron overload causes the exact same tiredness that deficiency does, but for completely opposite reasons. Instead of missing fuel, your cells are suffocating in it. They can't process oxygen properly because excess iron disrupts their machinery. You're tired not from too little iron, but from too much that your body doesn't know how to handle. Joint pain, particularly in the knuckles or knees, is another red flag. Doctors sometimes refer to it as the iron fist pattern when it strikes the first two knuckles of the hand. Over time, iron settles into cartilage and connective tissue, causing stiffness and swelling that mimic arthritis. The difference is that regular arthritis treatments rarely help because the real issue is chemical, not mechanical. The joints aren't wearing down from use. They're being corroded from within. The heart and liver take some of the worst hits. When iron builds up in the heart, it can lead to irregular heartbeat, enlargement, and eventually heart failure. In the liver, deposits cause inflammation that can turn into fibrosis or cirrhosis, even if you've never touched alcohol. Those who drink regularly magnify the risk, since alcohol enhances iron absorption. What starts as mild liver irritation can progress to serious disease in just a few years if excess iron remains unchecked. The pancreas isn't spared either. Iron that lands there interferes with insulin production, pushing your blood sugar up and contributing to type 2 diabetes. That's why researchers often call hemochromatosis the diabetes of iron. And in the brain, stored iron fuels free radicals that attack nerve tissue, increasing the likelihood of cognitive decline and stroke. It's a chain reaction. One metal that was once essential for energy turns into the spark that burns everything out faster. Now, you might be thinking, but my multivitamin has iron, isn't that normal? Yes, for younger adults, it makes sense. For older ones, not so much. After 65, men and women rarely lose enough iron to justify replacement, unless blood tests confirm genuine anemia from deficiency. Yet many popular 1A-day blends still contain 18 milligrams, the full daily allowance for a menstruating woman. Taking that for years without need loads your system like topping off a gas tank that's already full. Eventually it spills over in all the wrong places. So, how do you know if you're at risk? A simple blood test measuring ferritin and transferrin saturation tells the story. Ferritin shows how much iron your body has stored, while transferrin saturation shows how well it's being used. Optimal ferritin levels for older adults usually sit between 50 and 150 nanograms per milliliter. Too far above that, and storage begins turning toxic. If your numbers are high, stop all iron supplements immediately and talk to your doctor about lowering them safely. Sometimes blood donation or specific treatments called phlebotomy are used to drain excess iron. A surprisingly simple fix that can reverse many symptoms. Watch for these signs that might point to overload: constant fatigue that doesn't lift, unexplained weight loss, bronze or gray skin tone, weakness, loss of libido, or high blood pressure. Some people experience depression or heart fluttering due to the oxidative damage within nerve and cardiac tissue. Because these effects escalate slowly, they're often discovered only after a routine blood test reveals high ferritin. Making that test part of your annual checkup is one of the smartest defenses against premature organ aging. Iron overload also worsens inflammation across the body, which contributes to common age-related diseases. It thickens arteries, raising the risk of hypertension and atherosclerosis, and accelerates eye conditions like macular degeneration. Even your immune system suffers because bacteria thrive on iron. Too much in your bloodstream acts like a buffet for infection. That's one reason older adults with high iron levels experience more complications from bacterial illnesses. What's especially alarming is how easy it is to overdo iron unintentionally. Food fortification means bread, cereals, and snack bars already contain added iron. Pair that with a multivitamin or separate mineral supplement, and your intake can double or triple what your body needs. Most of it won't leave your system. It will quietly settle in your liver and heart. Over decades, that insurance dose becomes a liability. Now, none of this means iron is bad altogether. It just means the balance changes as you age. Some people still need supplementation if they've had blood loss from surgery, ulcers, or specific anemias. But that requires medical guidance and periodic monitoring, not guesswork. The rule of thumb is simple. Don't take iron unless a doctor confirms deficiency through lab results. A little too little can be fixed easily. A little too much can be devastating. If you need to keep levels steady without supplements, dietary balance is the key. Focus on plant-based sources like beans, lentils, and leafy greens. They contain non-heme iron, which the body absorbs more slowly and safely. Avoid combining iron-rich foods with alcohol or high-dose vitamin C supplements, since both increase absorption dramatically. Meanwhile, tea, coffee, and even a little calcium at meals can gently reduce uptake, providing a natural break when storage runs high. To put this practically, check your multivitamin label tonight. If it says with iron and you're over 65, switch to one labeled iron-free, unless your doctor instructs otherwise. That small change alone can spare your organs from decades of extra load. And remember, symptoms like tiredness or low mood don't automatically call for more iron. They might be pointing to deeper nutrient imbalances like low B12 or vitamin D, which you're already addressing safely. This is where taking charge of your health really pays off. One thoughtful conversation with your physician about your supplement list can prevent years of hidden damage. Ask specifically whether your blood work includes ferritin and transferrin saturation. If not, request it. Knowing where you stand means you'll never have to guess whether your daily pills are helping or harming. So, while 3 nutrients, B12, D, and magnesium, deserve a permanent place in your routine, iron demands caution. The same metal that powers the body early in life can rust it out later if you're not careful. Keeping levels balanced protects your heart, liver, and brain from a slow burn that too many people mistake for just aging. And here's the part most people never hear. Getting too much of a healthy mineral can quietly do more harm than good. In the next section, we'll untangle how vitamins and medications sometimes clash behind the scenes, and how understanding those interactions keeps your entire supplement routine working safely together. Understanding how supplements interact. Now that you know which nutrients actually help you, it's time to talk about something people often skip: how those supplements behave once they're in your system. Because while vitamins like B12, D, and magnesium can do wonders individually, they don't work in isolation. Think of them as neighbors sharing the same hallway. When everyone minds their space, things run smoothly. But when timing or combinations get messy, doors start slamming, and nothing functions quite right. Let's start with one of the most common mistakes: taking everything all at once with breakfast. It feels efficient, right? One gulp, done for the day. Unfortunately, those tablets and capsules often compete for absorption. For example, vitamin B12 and vitamin C don't get along when taken together. Vitamin C can actually degrade B12 in your digestive system before it's absorbed, especially if you take high doses of both. So that morning orange juice or 100 milligram C tablet might be undoing half of your B12 supplement. The simple fix is timing. Take your B12 early with food, then wait at least 2 hours before your C. Spread them out so they stop bickering inside your gut. Vitamin D has its own set of rules, mostly linked to calcium. These two are teammates, but only if balanced properly. Too little calcium and vitamin D can't do its job. Too much calcium without enough D leads to chalk-like deposits in places you don't want them. arteries, kidneys, and joints. That's why experts recommend combining about 800 to 100 IUs of vitamin D with moderate dietary or supplemental calcium, around 100 milligrams per day total from all sources. More isn't better. Taking massive calcium tablets because it helps bones doesn't multiply your strength, it just overwhelms the system. Magnesium steps in here as a kind of referee. Your body needs magnesium to activate vitamin D into its usable form, but excessive calcium can crowd it out. Many older adults unknowingly take calcium-heavy multivitamins that tip this scale. The result? Low magnesium absorption, leading to tight muscles and fatigue, even while they're faithfully taking D and calcium. The takeaway is rhythm: calcium and D during the day with meals, magnesium in the evening when it can relax muscles and calm the nervous system. That spacing mimics your body's natural cycle and prevents one supplement from elbowing another out of the way. But supplements aren't the only players. Everyday medications can completely change how these nutrients behave. Proton pump inhibitors, the popular acid reducers for heartburn, lower stomach acid so effectively that your body can't free B12 from food. Metformin, a common diabetes drug, does something similar in the small intestine. Antacids, antibiotics, and some seizure medications interfere with vitamin D activation in the liver. Even diuretics, those water pills often used for blood pressure, flush out magnesium faster than you can replace it. So if you're taking any of these, supplements become more than optional, they're compensation for what your prescriptions remove. Here's a practical example. Let's say you take metformin for diabetes and also a proton pump inhibitor for reflux. That combination double blocks your body's ability to absorb B12 from food. Even if your diet includes meat and dairy, your bloodstream may still come up empty. The fix isn't to eat more steak, it's to use free-form B12 like methylcobalamin tablets that bypass digestion entirely, paired with regular doctor monitoring that ensures the nutrients your medication blocks still reach their targets. Another often missed detail is how multivitamins layer hidden duplicates. A daily multivitamin might already include 600 IUs of vitamin D, yet many folks add another 100 IU capsule without realizing they're doubling up. The same happens with calcium when people take a standalone bone health product on top of fortified orange juice. Over time, these stacked doses creep higher than healthy levels. So, check labels and total your intake from all sources. A quick tally can prevent months of unintended overdose. If you're someone who prefers separating supplements completely, here's a simple schedule. Take your B12 with breakfast, preferably paired with a bit of protein that helps stabilize blood sugar and gives the vitamins something to ride along with. Midday or lunchtime, add vitamin D with your meal, since it absorbs best alongside fat or oil. Then reserve magnesium for the evening, ideally after dinner, to help your muscles unwind and promote restful sleep. If you take vitamin C, slide it into the afternoon gap away from your B12. This rhythm maximizes uptake without cross-interference. Let's also tackle food and drink interactions because they matter more than most realize. Coffee and tea contain compounds called tannins that can bind with iron and calcium, slightly reducing absorption. High-fiber cereals do something similar by trapping minerals before they reach the bloodstream. That doesn't mean ditch your morning coffee. It just means wait 30 minutes to an hour after eating before taking mineral supplements. Alcohol poses a different problem. It increases iron absorption and depletes B vitamins simultaneously. For older adults, that combination raises the risk of both deficiency and overload depending on the nutrient. Moderation remains your best defense. Sometimes, even water timing counts. For example, magnesium and zinc can cause mild stomach upset if taken on an empty stomach, while B12 usually prefers some food in the stomach to trigger digestive enzymes. On the flip side, fat-soluble vitamins D, E, A, and K should always be taken with a source of healthy fat for proper use. These small tweaks transform absorption from hit or miss to near guaranteed. Now, let's organize supplements into two categories: Safe partners and risky pairs. Safe partners include D with calcium, B12 with folate or B6, and magnesium with D. Risky pairs include B12 alongside large doses of vitamin C, calcium taken at the same time as magnesium, and iron with any of them unless prescribed. Iron specifically competes for intestinal receptors, blocking absorption of B vitamins, and magnesium when they're taken too close together. Since most older adults don't need iron anyway, it's best kept separate or skipped. If this sounds like a lot to track, remember you're not aiming for perfection, just awareness. Even spacing pills by an hour or two makes a significant difference. Many seniors organize their supplements by meal rather than by vitamin names. Breakfast for energy nutrients like B12, lunch for bone helpers like D, and dinner for relaxation minerals like magnesium. This habit quickly becomes automatic, and it mirrors the body's natural energy pattern from morning to night. Still, the most important tool isn't a pill organizer, it's conversation. Always keep your doctor or pharmacist in the loop when you add a new supplement. Bring your entire list, including over-the-counter products and herbal teas, to each appointment. Professionals can spot interactions you might never consider. For example, calcium can weaken the effect of certain thyroid medications, and magnesium can amplify sedatives. Adjusting timing by just a few hours protects both your medicines and your nutrients from working against each other. If you want a quick checklist to keep by your kitchen counter, here's a simple one. Separate B12 and vitamin C by at least 2 hours. Take vitamin D and calcium together with food. Save magnesium for evening relaxation. Avoid combining iron with anything unless prescribed. Check that your multivitamin isn't duplicating doses. Review medications yearly for nutrient-blocking side effects. Following those 6 steps gives you 95% of the benefit with almost no confusion. They turn supplement use from guesswork into precision. And let's be clear, this isn't about fear or overthinking. It's about efficiency. You wouldn't pour 3 different fuels into one gas tank and hope for the best. Your body deserves the same attention. When each vitamin and mineral occupies its correct lane, you absorb more, waste less, and cut the risk of unpleasant side effects. So, take a moment tonight to look at your lineup. Shift a few timings, check those labels, and make it part of your weekly rhythm. That small act streamlines everything you're already doing for your health. Because supplements don't fix problems, they supply building blocks. How you arrange those blocks decides whether your foundation stays strong or slowly starts to crack. Now that you know how these nutrients interact and support one another safely, let's tie it all together. Up next, we'll look at what actually happens when everything clicks, when your supplements, diet, and routines align just right, and your body finally runs on full power again. What happens when you get it right? When everything finally falls into place, your supplements, your diet, your timing, the change feels almost unreal. For months or even years, you may have been dragging yourself through mornings, steadying your hand on the counter, blaming fatigue or forgetfulness on normal aging. Then suddenly you wake up one day and realize you moved through the house without thinking about balance at all. That quiet smoothness is what happens when the right nutrients start doing their job again. Energy is always the first signal something's working. When vitamin B12, D, and magnesium reach steady levels, your cells finally breathe again. The fog lifts, your feet feel lighter, your mind turns sharp instead of fuzzy. Tasks that once left you wiped, making breakfast, watering plants, climbing stairs, start feeling effortless. It's not a burst of false energy like caffeine gives. It's a slow return of natural stamina. People often describe it as a steady current humming underneath everything they do. That's your metabolism firing on all cylinders again. Balance follows soon after. Remember, nerves act like power lines, sending instant messages between brain and muscle. When B12 repairs their insulation and magnesium fine-tunes the signals, your muscles respond faster. You stop overcorrecting when you reach or turn. The little stumbles that felt inevitable simply stop happening. Combined with stronger leg muscles from consistent vitamin D, every step becomes surer. Physical therapists often notice it first. Their clients walk with smoother rhythm even before. Strength tests improve. Nutrition always works from the inside out. Mood improvement surprises most people. It's not just that you feel physically stronger, your brain chemistry stabilizes too. With B12 supporting neurotransmitter production and magnesium calming your nervous system, anxiety ebbs. You don't snap as easily, you sleep more deeply, and mornings start quietly instead of groggy. Even chronic pain feels easier to manage because tension lessens when your muscles get enough magnesium and oxygen. This emotional clarity is what many describe as feeling like myself again, a phrase doctors hear constantly when deficiencies are corrected. Let me share a short story that captures this perfectly. A few months ago, one viewer in her early 70s wrote to say she had almost given up driving because she felt unsafe, sluggish reflexes, clouded focus, shaky legs at stoplights. Her blood work showed low B12 and below average vitamin D. Her doctor prescribed daily B12 tablets and 100 IU of D3. Within 6 weeks, she was back behind the wheel with confidence. What changed wasn't her courage, it was her chemistry. Restoring nerve, speed, and muscle coordination gave her independence back. Another man in his mid-60s had spent years battling sleeplessness and early morning cramps. He figured it was circulation until his doctor checked magnesium. It was half the normal range. 2 months after adding 300 milligrams of magnesium glycinate before bed, the cramps stopped, his heart rhythm evened out, and he was sleeping 7 hours straight for the first time in a decade. He said, "I thought I needed sleeping pills, but apparently I just needed minerals." That one adjustment often does more for rest quality than any stimulant or sedative. These results aren't flukes, they echo what research shows repeatedly. Correcting low vitamin D levels reduces fall rates by up to 20%. Replenishing B12 in deficient adults improves cognitive performance and walking speed within months. Magnesium therapy lowers blood pressure and promotes better sleep. Put all three together, and you've essentially rebuilt the internal wiring that lets an older body act young again. The difference becomes obvious not only in how you feel, but in measurable lab work: lower homocysteine, higher bone density, better glucose control. It's worth pointing out that these changes don't appear overnight, but they compound beautifully. Think of it as investing in your future strength. Around week 2, your energy rises. By week 4, sleep and balance follow. By week 8, your confidence in movement and memory grows. Within 3 months, daily tasks that once drained you start paying back energy instead of stealing it. Every cup of fortified milk, every morning tablet, every sunny walk accumulates beneath the surface until the improvement becomes undeniable. There's also a visible brightness that others notice first. Color returns to your face as B12 boosts red cell production. Shoulders straighten, steps quicken. Friends might ask if you've changed your routine or finally started resting more, not realizing what's really changed is oxygen delivery to every tissue. These aren't cosmetic perks, they're biomarkers of restored function. Your heart pumps more efficiently, your brain consumes fuel cleanly, and your muscles recycle lactic acid faster, reducing that late-day heaviness. Internally, the payoff is just as dramatic. Restored B12 trims dangerous homocysteine that damages arteries, reducing the strain on your heart. Vitamin D supports immune cells that fight infections efficiently without triggering excess inflammation. Magnesium balances blood sugar and keeps rhythm steady. That's why many older adults who tune their nutrient routine not only feel better, but also see improvements on lab results: better A1C numbers, lower blood pressure, improved kidney performance. Wellness stops being vague. It becomes measurable progress. Emotionally, one of the greatest rewards is relief. Finally understanding that feeling tired, distracted, or unsteady wasn't weakness or getting old. It was a solvable maintenance problem. The body is remarkably forgiving once you give it what it's been missing. I've seen people regain hobbies they'd shelved: painting, gardening, community volunteering. Their energy allowed participation instead of watchfulness. That renewal of identity, moving from surviving to engaging, is perhaps the clearest evidence that nutrition is the foundation of independence. And here's something important: when the right nutrients align, small lifestyle efforts start showing bigger returns. A short daily walk yields real stamina within weeks because muscles now recover efficiently. Stretching or light resistance training builds tone faster because protein synthesis finally has vitamin D and magnesium support. Even dietary fiber works better since proper magnesium and hydration improve digestion. Every habit you once called good suddenly becomes effective again. Of course, success requires keeping that balance consistent. Stop supplementing too soon, and the old fatigue creeps back, just like skipping oil changes eventually roughens an engine. The beauty is that maintenance becomes simpler over time. Once your body reaches equilibrium, smaller doses maintain it. Regular blood tests every 6 to 12 months confirm whether you're still in the sweet spot. That's preventive health at its most empowering. Feedback guided by numbers, not guesswork. So what does getting it right really deliver? Stronger energy without crashes, steadier balance on any surface, calmer emotions, and sharper focus that makes daily life easier to enjoy. It transforms health from reactive, waiting for symptoms, to proactive, building resilience. This isn't miraculous reversals or youthful promises. It's the physiology of optimization. When these systems hum together, living alone feels safer, mornings feel purposeful, and memory feels trustworthy again. That's not fantasy, that's biology at its best. And the most encouraging part is that anyone can reach it with ordinary, affordable tools: balanced meals, sunlight, hydration, targeted supplements, and a little patience. The hard truth is most people never realize how much energy they've lost until they feel restored. Once they do, the world feels open again. They plan trips instead of appointments, join group walks instead of sitting out, and laugh more because their bodies finally keep up with their hearts. That's the transformation possible when you get it right, when science, routine, and self-care meet halfway. Up next, we'll turn those gains into a repeatable plan, a simple daily blueprint designed to keep your metabolism strong, your nerves protected, and your balance unshakable for years to come. Daily Health Blueprint for Vibrant Aging. By now you've seen how the right nutrients can restore balance, focus, and strength, so let's put it all together into one easy rhythm. Think of this as your daily maintenance plan, a simple structure that keeps your energy steady, your muscles strong, and your mind clear. It's not complicated or expensive. It's just consistency that compounds. Start with your morning. This is when your body's repair crew switches off and the active systems kick in, so give them fuel they can actually use. Take your vitamin B12 first thing with breakfast, something that includes a bit of protein like eggs, yogurt, or oatmeal with milk. That protein helps stabilize blood sugar, so the B12 can get to work without the mid-morning crash. If you prefer sublingual tablets, let one dissolve under your tongue while the coffee brews, but avoid mixing it with citrus juice or supplements containing vitamin C for at least 2 hours. Think of B12 as your ignition key. Once it's in place, everything else starts running smoothly. Breakfast is also the perfect time for vitamin D because it's fat soluble. It needs a little healthy fat to absorb properly. A spoon of nut butter, a bit of avocado toast, or milk in your cereal all do the trick. If you take calcium, this is the time to combine it with vitamin D, so the pair can move into your bones together. Stick to around 800 to 100 IU of D3, enough to stay in the optimal range without overshooting. Then take a few minutes of sunshine if weather allows. Even 10 minutes of light on your arms or face boosts your natural vitamin D production and lifts mood. Mid-morning is hydration time. After breakfast, aim for 1 tall glass of water every hour or so until lunch. Older adults often mistake mild dehydration for fatigue, so keeping fluids steady is half the battle. If plain water feels dull, try lightly flavored sparkling water or herbal tea. The goal is to sip, not chug. Steady intake helps nutrients circulate evenly through your system. Now for lunch, keep colors on your plate. Bright vegetables, leafy greens, whole grains, and lean proteins create the perfect environment for magnesium and B vitamins to do their work. Try a spinach salad with salmon or turkey on whole grain bread. That combination offers both magnesium and natural vitamin D from the fish. Add a drizzle of olive oil for healthy fats. It makes the fat-soluble vitamins far more absorbable. Afternoon energy dips are normal, but they shouldn't be exhausting. If you find yourself sleepy or sluggish, skip sugary snacks and go for a small handful of almonds or a piece of cheese. The protein-fat balance keeps your blood sugar even, and the nuts supply an extra hit of magnesium. Late-day hydration matters too. Another couple of glasses of water prevents the evening headaches that often come from minor dehydration. If you take vitamin C, the afternoon is the ideal slot since it sits well away from your morning B12 dose. As evening comes, it's time to prepare the body for rest. Magnesium takes center stage here. About 250 to 300 milligrams of magnesium glycinate or citrate an hour before bed relaxes muscles, steadies your heartbeat, and quiets the nervous system. Pair it with a light dinner, say grilled vegetables and brown rice, or a small serving of fish, and follow with calming activities instead of screens. Many older adults notice better sleep quality, fewer midnight leg cramps, and easier mornings within days of creating this ritual. Evening is also the checkpoint for reflection and gratitude, the mental counterpart to physical nourishment. Briefly note how your energy felt, whether balance was easier or if your sleep improved. This awareness helps you fine-tune dosing and timing. If you skipped water or meals, adjust tomorrow rather than judging yourself today. Health at this stage isn't about perfection. It's about gentle course correction. Once a week, give yourself an inventory day. Lay out your pill organizer, refill each slot, and glance through expiration dates. At the same time, check your meal staples. Do you still have leafy greens, nuts, milk, or fortified cereals in the kitchen? Maintaining supply prevents those "I ran out, I'll restart next week" gaps that undo progress. Think of it as preventive maintenance, like oiling the hinges before they squeak. Every 3 to 6 months, schedule simple checkups: vitamin D, vitamin B12, calcium, and ferritin levels. These numbers tell you exactly where you stand, no guessing required. Ask your doctor to review your medications too, since new prescriptions can alter how well you absorb nutrients. A short visit now saves months of energy loss later. If a pharmacy offers combined supplement reviews, take advantage. Pharmacists are experts in timing and dosage interactions. Let's not forget movement. Just 5 to 10 minutes of light activity after each meal, walking the hallway, stepping outside, gentle stretches, keeps blood sugar steady and pumps nutrients through your muscles. You don't need formal workouts. What matters is circulation. For balance in particular, practice standing on one foot while holding a counter, or rise slowly from a chair without using your hands. These small acts activate the same reflexes vitamin D and B12 support internally. Sleep hygiene ties it all together. Create a calm routine leading toward bed. Lower lights, choose soft music or light reading, and avoid news or screens that jolt adrenaline. Magnesium assists here by easing nerve excitability. Combine that with a cooler bedroom temperature and consistent sleep time, and you'll notice not just longer hours, but deeper, restorative rest. During the day, remember that supplements work best when paired with real food, hydration, and mindset. A good rule is food first, pills second. Vitamins and minerals aren't substitutes for meals, they're reinforcements. Try to eat within the first hour of waking, include protein at every meal, and keep snacks balanced. This steady nourishment supports the slow metabolism that comes with age, keeping energy more even across the entire day. If you want a quick visual checklist, imagine 3 pillars: morning activation, midday balance, and evening recovery. Morning activation: B12 plus D3 with protein and a burst of sunshine. Midday balance: hydration, colorful meals, small movement breaks. Evening recovery: magnesium, quiet downtime, consistent sleep schedule. This cycle repeats daily, training your body to expect care at predictable times. Over weeks, the routine becomes automatic, like brushing your teeth, simple actions that quietly safeguard independence. And, of course, keep communication open with your healthcare team. Let them know what you're taking, report any new fatigue or sleeplessness, and celebrate improvements together. Prevention isn't glamorous, but it's powerful. Every day you maintain these habits, you lower your risk of falls, memory lapses, and metabolic diseases, all by giving your cells what they need exactly when they need it. So if you want your 70s and beyond to feel steady, lucid, and strong, this is the blueprint. 1 morning tablet to spark your system, nourishing meals to keep it fueled, water to carry nutrients, gentle motion to keep blood flowing, and evening calm to reset everything overnight. These aren't huge transformations. They're small, reliable actions repeated often enough to rebuild your resilience from the inside out. Stay sharp, stay steady. So here's what it all adds up to. 3 simple supplements: vitamin B12, vitamin D, and magnesium work together like the body's built-in maintenance crew. B12 protects your nerves and powers your brain, keeping memory crisp and reflexes quick. Vitamin D strengthens bones and muscles, cutting your fall risk and supporting the confidence to move without fear. And magnesium smooths everything out, softening muscle tension, improving sleep, and helping your heart keep an even rhythm. These aren't trendy fixes or miracle fads. They're fundamentals for staying strong and independent after 65, the kind of support your body quietly craves while it's working hard to stay balanced. Most people spend years struggling with fatigue, poor sleep, or wobbly steps before realizing those signals are just nutrient shortages in disguise. Once you replace what's missing, everything else, mobility, focus, even patience, feels easier again. The small daily choices you make become the difference between merely aging and aging well. But there's one caution you can't ignore: high-dose iron. At a younger age, it keeps you energized. After 65, it can do harm. Iron accumulates quietly in organs, the liver, heart, and brain, where it accelerates aging and triggers inflammation. If your multivitamin still says with iron, switch it out and ask your doctor to check ferritin levels. Only supplement iron when blood tests prove you're low. It's never worth guessing. Protecting your heart and liver begins with knowing when less is better. So how do you keep all this straight day to day? Think of your body as a finely tuned instrument. You don't need an overhaul, just regular tuning. Morning, take B12 and D with a protein-rich breakfast. Evening, let magnesium wind everything down before sleep. Stay hydrated, keep portions colorful, and give yourself a short walk after meals to keep circulation moving. Those habits press reset on energy and balance every single day. Here's the empowering part. None of these actions require perfect health, strict diets, or heavy exercise. You're not chasing youth, you're maintaining independence. Each supplement you take, each mindful meal, and each glass of water adds a layer of resilience that your younger self may have taken for granted. You're supporting future you, the one who wants to cook, garden, travel, laugh, and live without worry over simple movements. Your independence isn't luck. It's maintenance built through consistency. It's also worth remembering that supplements do their best work when guided by knowledge. Keep open communication with your doctor. Track your vitamin levels twice a year and adjust as needed. Healthcare isn't about being told what's wrong. It's a partnership built on data and intention. With every appointment, you'll confirm that what you're doing, those tiny routine steps, really is extending your strength and clarity. If you take one message from this whole series, let it be this: feeling sharp, strong, and steady isn't about adding years. It's about adding quality to the years you already have. You can't control every change age brings, but you can control how well your body adapts to them. Balance, focus, and calm energy aren't privileges of the young. They're the rewards of those who keep caring enough to adjust. Now, if you found this guide useful, subscribe for weekly insights on staying strong, clear, and active after 60. Each episode dives into topics from nutrition tweaks to brain health habits that help you live vibrantly and confidently at every stage. Tune in, keep learning, and let's keep your 70s and beyond as steady as your spirit deserves.